Hi, it's Catherine Franke. It's May 11th. Now, as everyone knows, universities and colleges are under an enormous amount of pressure right now from the federal government, particularly legal pressure. And the kinds of legal claims or arguments that the federal government is making about its power to control, investigate, regulate educational institutions is unprecedented. And I have to say that the general counsels of universities, the head lawyer at universities, have really not seen this kind of thing before, and were unprepared for it. And Columbia, I would acknowledge, has really been a leader in its failure to provide a robust legal defense of the academic institution itself. When the government says we want X and just it's an ask, Columbia and Barnard have said, sure, we'll hand over names and information about our students. We will accede to what are clearly illegal demands made in ransom notes by the federal government. And I think it's fair to say that Columbia University has been ill-served by the advice of its general counsel, but also by the lawyers it's hired to support the general counsel's efforts, outside counsel. Two examples in particular. Robbie Kaplan, who's a very well-known litigator, was brought in very early as an outside lawyer to advise Columbia, and was really the architect behind Columbia's very aggressive posture with respect to student protesters. That aggression actually caused Robbie's partners to kick her out of her law firm because she was alleged to have been quite abusive towards other lawyers and employees at the firm, and she had to go start another law firm. So too, the law firm of Cher Tremonte was hired by Columbia, particularly Teresa Tresaskama, a partner at that law firm, to handle the disciplinary investigations and recommendations of faculty and students, and she actually investigated my case. She was rude, inappropriate, created an incomplete record, actually didn't interview anybody other than me and the people who complained against me, and I know that this was true in others of those cases, and I just learned that she was actually pushed out of her law firm by her partners because they didn't want to be associated with these kinds of cases. And so she's now off created a new law firm. And who's her big client? Andrew Cuomo, who is suing or threatening to sue the women who have complained that he committed sexual harassment against them in order to chill them and frighten them. So there's a pattern of Columbia being ill-served by its lawyers internally and then ill-served by the outside lawyers that it hires. And part of why I want to address this issue today is to also draw attention to the fact that the ACLU has issued an open letter to college and university general counsels, giving them some accurate advice about how they should comply, how they should resist, and how they should understand their risk when it comes to aggressive government action related to immigration matters, but also student disciplinary matters or the enforcement of so-called issues of anti-Semitic bias on campuses. So this letter in particular, and I'll post the link for it in the first comment on this video, this letter advises universities that very clearly housing students in a dorm or in university housing cannot count as harboring somebody who is perhaps that the government is pursuing for immigration purposes or for deportation. So too, administrative subpoenas, whether it's coming from ICE, Homeland Security, the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the universities and colleges don't have to comply with those subpoenas until a court orders them to do so. And as I've noted in an earlier video, the EOC actually doesn't have a quorum right now because Trump fired all the Democratic commissioners. So they actually can't issue a subpoena. But Columbia nevertheless complies. But there are other issues that this memo from the ACLU goes into. So I would urge all of you to share the ACLU's legal analysis with the general counsel of your college or university and ask them affirmatively, will you follow this guidance? Rather than merely rolling over, surrendering, and in the case of Columbia, doing even more than what the government is asking for.